Late into the night of October 10, 2013, lights still glowed in the upscale apartments of Park Lafayette Towers in Milwaukee. From the outside, the towering building with its large windows reflected the city lights, each window a separate fragment of the vibrant urban mosaic. Behind one of those windows on the 19th floor, a tragedy was quietly unfolding, one that would take nearly 2 years to be brought into the light of justice. Inside the luxurious apartment of Kris Zocco, the air was thick with the scent of cocaine and expensive vodka. The pristine white walls and sleek modern furniture created a cold, impersonal setting, the place where a young, beautiful woman would take her final breath. Kelly Dwyer, 27 years old, with her wavy blonde hair and radiant smile, had no idea that this date night would be the last night of her life. As dawn broke over Milwaukee, a dark secret had already been born in the shadows. A life had been taken, a body had been moved, and the man behind it all had begun a cat-and-mouse game with the police, a game that would stretch out over months and leave a family shattered in grief and despair. Kelly Dwyer embodied youth and potential. Working in retail at Lululemon and surrounded by a tight-knit circle of friends, she built her life in Milwaukee with energy and optimism. Her golden hair and brilliant smile were trademarks, second only to the bright blue eyes that always shone with hope for the future. Described by friends as cheerful, caring, and always willing to help, Kelly was the kind of daughter any parent would be proud of. She kept in regular contact with her family, especially her mother, whom she called almost every day. At work, she was beloved by coworkers for her professionalism and sense of responsibility. Kelly was never late and always informed others if her schedule changed. So when Kelly failed to show up for work on October 12, 2013, without calling or replying to messages, alarm bells rang for those close to her. This silence was completely out of character. Her co-workers at Lululemon tried reaching out throughout the day, but every call went straight to voicemail. Kelly's phone appeared to be off, an almost unheard of occurrence for someone as connected as she was. After around 30 hours without contact, family and friends reported her missing to the Milwaukee Police Department. This missing person report would be the first step in a complex months-long investigation that would ultimately shed light on a horrific crime. As investigators retraced Kelly's final days, one name quickly rose to the surface: Kris Zocco, also known as Kris Zocco, a 39-year-old specialist working for a major financial firm. Holding a prestigious job with a six-figure salary, Zocco lived in a luxury apartment in Park Lafayette Towers and drove a sporty BMW Dodge. With his polished appearance and confident demeanor, he gave off the impression of a successful professional at the peak of his career. Zocco and Kelly had been in an unofficial relationship for about a year. According to friends, it wasn't a serious romantic relationship, but mostly involved meeting up to use drugs and have sex. Chanel Royston, one of Kelly's acquaintances, later recalled that Kelly had described the relationship as fun, but without long-term intentions. She had confided to friends that Zocco often provided cocaine during their meetups, usually on weekends. What Kelly may not have known was that Zocco was in a long-term relationship with another woman who frequently traveled overseas for work. When she was away, Zocco would contact Kelly and other women. Behind the facade of a successful professional was a man with dark secrets, a heavy drug addict with a vast collection of pornographic content, including child pornography and a tendency toward sexual violence. On October 14, 2013, 2 days after Kelly was reported missing, Detective Tammy Tremel McLean visited Park Lafayette Towers to interview Zocco. With years of experience handling missing persons cases, McLean immediately noticed Zocco's oddly calm demeanor. Instead of expressing concern about the disappearance of someone he had just seen days earlier, Zocco appeared cold and detached, answering questions with accuracy but without emotion. When given permission to inspect the apartment, police noticed several suspicious details. Though the apartment was generally clean and tidy, certain areas, such as the bathroom, showed signs of having been recently scrubbed. The shower curtain was brand new, with no sign of the old one, and a golf travel bag Zocco had mentioned earlier was now missing. The most crucial clue came from the built-in surveillance system. When investigators reviewed footage from the night of October 10 and the morning of October 11th, they confirmed that Kelly had entered the building with Zocco at around 10:23 p.m. However, there was no footage of her leaving the building. This directly contradicted Zocco's claim that Kelly had left the next morning. Confronted with the video evidence, Zocco altered his story. He now claimed that Kelly may have used the stairwell to leave the building, which would explain why the camera didn't catch her. However, other cameras near emergency exits and the basement entrance also failed to capture any footage of Kelly leaving the premises. Due to these inconsistencies and other suspicious elements, police obtained a search warrant warrant for Zocco's apartment. During the search, they found multiple drugs, including cocaine, marijuana, and oxycodone, along with drug paraphernalia. Zocco was immediately arrested for drug possession, giving police the opportunity to interrogate him further about Kelly's disappearance. On the fourth day following John Garner's death, investigators received a new warrant to search Zocco's home and vehicles again, this time with a specific focus on locating any electronic devices that might reveal more about what had happened on that fateful night. During the search, police seized Zocco's phone and computer. A subsequent digital analysis uncovered a disturbing archive of violent sexual content, including videos of Zocco engaging in sexual acts with Kelly and other women. Particularly alarming were several videos showing acts of choking during sex, with Kelly as the victim in many instances. Experts later confirmed that these represented a form of dangerous choking game, which can lead to death if taken too far. What they discovered far exceeded their expectations. On a tablet belonging to Zocco, investigators found a shocking internet search history. Just days before Kelly vanished, someone had searched for troubling terms: how to kill someone without getting caught, how to stage a fake attack, information about asphyxiation, and whether anesthetics could be detected in an autopsy. A search sequence that could only be described as premeditated murder research. But the most significant and damning discovery came from a search of Zocco's BMW. A police nine named Molly, brought into the apartment to search for traces of Kelly, alerted in several locations: the bathroom, the floor near the bed, and especially an area near the entrance. Later, when brought to the building's underground parking garage, Molly also alerted near Zocco's BMW, particularly at the trunk. The alerts from Molly, combined with the lack of any footage of Kelly leaving the building, reinforced investigators' belief that something horrific had happened to her inside Zocco's apartment. Yet without a body, a weapon, or clear signs of violence, they still lacked the necessary elements to formally charge Zocco with Kelly's death. While Zocco was being held on drug-related charges, the search for Kelly Dwyer expanded across the Milwaukee area. Volunteers, led by Kelly's family and friends, organized searches in parks, riverbanks, and other remote areas. Kelly's image appeared on billboards, bus stops, and social media as the community rallied to find the young woman who had mysteriously vanished. Meanwhile, investigators delved deeper into Kelly's life and relationships, particularly with Zocco. Through interviews with friends and acquaintances, a more complex picture of their relationship emerged. Many described Zocco as controlling and possessive, often displaying jealousy when Kelly interacted with other men. Some of Kelly's friends expressed concerns that Zocco had been supplying her with drugs, suggesting he may have used this as a means of maintaining power in the relationship. Joyce Fry, Zocco's mother, offered a different perspective on her son. She described him as a bright and talented child who always struggled to connect emotionally with others. According to Fry, Zocco had a difficult childhood with an absent father and a series of behavioral issues that led to multiple school expulsions. Despite professional success, Zocco never seemed capable of maintaining healthy, long-term relationships. As the investigation progressed, police also began examining Zocco's financial history, especially in the days following Kelly's disappearance. They discovered a notable transaction: a credit card charge at a convenience store in Jefferson County, about 45 miles west of Milwaukee, on the afternoon of October 11, the day after Kelly was last seen. The area is largely rural, with dense woods and desolate roads, an ideal place to dispose of a body without detection. Another important clue emerged when police identified items missing from Zocco's apartment: a shower curtain and a travel golf bag. Investigators suspected these objects might have been used to transport Kelly's body out of the building. This theory was further supported by cell phone data, which showed Kelly's phone stopped transmitting signals early on the morning of October 11 near Zocco's apartment, while Zocco's phone moved west out of the city later that same day. Despite these significant leads, police still lacked the most crucial element: Kelly's body. Without it, proving that a crime had occurred, let alone charging Zocco with committing it, would be nearly impossible. Zocco, meanwhile, continued to deny any involvement in Kelly's disappearance, insisting she had left his apartment safely on the morning of October 11. While the search for Kelly continued, analysis of Zocco's computer and phone revealed a disturbing dark side to his personality. Investigators discovered a large collection of pornographic material, including troubling images and videos involving minors. Based on these findings, Zocco was arrested a second time in November 2013 and charged with possession of child pornography. Although this discovery was not directly related to Kelly's disappearance, it gave investigators investigators deeper insight into Zocco's character and his potential for violent sexual behavior. Particularly concerning was the forensic evidence showing that Zocco had deleted a large amount of data from his devices in the days immediately after Kelly went missing, suggesting an effort to conceal critical evidence. The investigation also revealed that Zocco had a fetish for recording his sexual encounters without his partner's consent. Many videos found on his devices showed women who appeared unaware they were being filmed. Criminal psychologists later explained that this behavior indicated a desire for control and dominance, traits consistent with the profile of individuals who commit violent crimes against women. The videos and images involving Kelly were especially troubling. Several clips showed Zocco choking Kelly during sex, sometimes to the point of near unconsciousness before releasing her. Experts in sexual violence identified this as a particularly dangerous form of BDSM known as breath play or erotic asphyxiation, which can lead to death if done incorrectly. Though these revelations heightened suspicion around Zocco, investigators still couldn't charge him in connection with Kelly's disappearance without a body. The case appeared to be at a standstill, with Zocco facing charges related to drugs and pornography, but not yet accused of harming Kelly. For Kelly's family, the uncertainty was a form of psychological torture. Each passing day without news of Kelly deepened the fear that they might never know what had happened to her. Still, they refused to give up hope, continuing their search efforts and keeping Kelly's story in the public eye. Their perseverance finally paid off in May 2015, nearly 19 months after Kelly vanished. A hiker discovered human bones in a remote forest area in Jefferson County, just a short distance from where Zocco had used his credit card on October 11, 2013. Forensic testing later confirmed that the remains belonged to Kelly Dwyer. The condition of the remains indicated that Kelly had died around the time of her disappearance and that her body had been left in that area ever since. The level of decomposition made it difficult to determine the exact cause of death, but investigators found evidence consistent with strangulation, matching the dangerous sexual behavior Zocco had previously displayed with Kelly. With the discovery of Kelly's body, investigators were finally able to move forward with charging Zocco in connection with her death. In May 2015, Zocco, who at the time was serving a sentence for drug-related offenses and child pornography, was additionally charged with reckless homicide, hiding a corpse, and strangulation resulting in death. The discovery of Kelly's body provided the final piece of the complex legal puzzle, allowing prosecutors to proceed with the murder case they had been building over the past 19 months. The trial of Kris Zocco for the death of Kelly Dwyer began in March 2017, nearly 4 years after she went missing. The trial was held at the Milwaukee County Courthouse, drawing significant attention from both the public and the press. The courtroom was packed every day with Kelly's family and friends, all seeking justice for the young woman they loved. Assistant District Attorney Sarah Hill led the prosecution, presenting a compelling case built on a series of circumstantial evidence. According to Hill, Kelly's death was not an isolated accident, but the result of a chain of events beginning with Zocco supplying her with drugs, followed by dangerous sexual practices, and ending with a clumsy attempt to conceal his crime. In her opening statement, Hill painted a detailed picture of Kelly's final night based on the evidence collected. According to Hill, Kelly arrived at Zocco's apartment on the evening of October 10, 2013, to use drugs and engage in sex, as confirmed by surveillance footage from the building. During the encounter, Zocco engaged in strangulation during sex, an act he had previously performed with Kelly, as documented in videos found on his phone. However, unlike previous times, this time Zocco went too far, accidentally suffocating Kelly to death. Rather than calling for medical help, Zocco chose to conceal her death. He wrapped Kelly's body in a shower curtain, placed it in a golf travel bag, and removed it from the building, somehow avoiding being captured on surveillance. He then drove to a remote area in Jefferson County and discarded the body in a wooded area, where it remained undiscovered for nearly 19 months. To support this theory, prosecutors presented several key pieces of evidence. First was the surveillance footage showing Kelly entering the building with Zocco but never leaving. Then came the positive alerts from the cadaver dog, Molly, indicating the presence of human remains in Zocco's apartment and car. Videos on Zocco's phone showed him previously choking Kelly during sex, establishing a pattern of dangerous behavior. Credit card receipts and mobile phone data placed Zocco near the area where Kelly's body was eventually found the day after she disappeared. One of the prosecution's strongest pieces of evidence was the suspicious disappearance of the shower curtain and golf bag from Zocco's apartment. Items investigators believe were used to transport Kelly's body. Though these items were never recovered, their sudden absence following Kelly's death was considered a critical clue. Throughout the trial, Zocco's defense attorney attempted to raise doubt by pointing out the lack of direct eyewitnesses to Kelly's death and emphasizing that the state's case was largely circumstantial. They suggested that Kelly might have died from a drug overdose or could have voluntarily left with someone else who wasn't captured on camera. They also argued that the missing shower curtain and golf bag didn't necessarily mean they were used to move a body. However, as the case progressed, inconsistencies in Zocco's story and his suspicious behavior following Kelly's disappearance became more evident. He had changed his story multiple times, failed to explain why no footage showed Kelly leaving the building, and could not justify the deletion of data from his phone and computer shortly after she vanished. A pivotal moment in the trial came when Lieutenant Eric Gulbranson testified about Zocco's computer activity. According to Gulbranson, just hours after Kelly was last believed to have left his apartment, Zocco conducted Google searches on human body decomposition and how long it takes for a corpse to fully decompose under different conditions. These searches, made before Kelly was even reported missing, severely undermined Zocco's claims of innocence. After 2 weeks of testimony, evidence, and arguments, the case was handed to the jury. Following 3 days of deliberation, the jury returned a verdict. Kris Zocco was found guilty of first-degree reckless homicide, hiding a corpse, and strangulation, resulting in death. In May 2017, Zocco was sentenced to 31 years in prison, in addition to the 19-year sentence he had previously received for drug and child pornography offenses. With a total of 50 years to serve, this meant that Zocco, then 42 years old, would likely spend the rest of his life behind bars. The verdict and sentence brought a sense of closure to Kelly Dwyer's family and friends, though nothing could truly ease the pain of losing their loved one under such tragic circumstances. In a moving victim impact statement before sentencing, Kelly's mother described the indescribable grief of losing her daughter and the emotional torment the family endured for nearly 2 years without knowing what had happened to her. Although the sentence could not bring Kelly back, it delivered a measure of justice and accountability. It also served as a sobering reminder of the dangers of extreme sexual behavior, especially when combined with drugs and alcohol. Health experts used the case to raise awareness about the risks of choking games or erotic asphyxiation, a practice that has led to numerous accidental deaths across the country. For the Milwaukee Police Department, the case was a testament to the importance of persistent and thorough investigative work. Although it took nearly 4 years, justice was ultimately achieved. Detectives Tammy Tremel McLean and Catherine Spano, who worked tirelessly on the case, were praised for their dedication and professionalism. In particular, their efforts to preserve evidence and build a solid case under difficult circumstances proved critical in ensuring Zocco was held accountable. Investigators developed a detailed theory based on the available evidence. They believed that after Kelly died, likely due to accidental strangulation during sex, Zocco did not call for help, perhaps because he himself was under the influence of drugs and feared legal consequences. Instead, he chose to conceal her death and devised a plan to remove her body from the apartment. According to police, Zocco wrapped Kelly's body in a shower curtain and placed it in a golf travel bag. Using the upscale nature of the building and his access to a private parking garage, he may have been able to remove the body without being caught on camera. Certain parts of the building, including stairwells and areas of the garage, were not fully covered by video surveillance. The discovery of Zocco's Google searches about human body decomposition just hours after Kelly's disappearance reinforced the police's belief that her death was not merely an accident that Zocco panicked and tried to cover up. Instead, it suggested a disturbing level of calculation and planning. His specific searches regarding decomposition rates in different environments indicated that he deliberately chose a location he believed would accelerate the process and make identification of the body more difficult. Data from Zocco's cell phone and credit card painted a picture of his movements on the day following Kelly's disappearance. He drove from Milwaukee to a remote rural area in Jefferson County, where Kelly's body was ultimately discovered. His use of a credit card at a convenience store in the area provided a crucial timestamp for his journey, and later, when Kelly's body was found, it confirmed the police's theory about the dumping site. Perhaps one of the most unsettling aspects of the case was how Zocco carried on with his life after Kelly vanished. While her family and friends were devastated and searching tirelessly, Zocco maintained his daily routine, going to work, socializing with friends, and even continuing to date other women. This displayed a level of cold detachment that psychological experts later described as characteristic of antisocial personality disorder. In the years following the trial, many people came forward to share untold stories about Kelly Dwyer, painting a more complete picture of the woman known to the public primarily through the lens of her tragic death. These stories, shared by classmates, co-workers, and loved ones, revealed a Kelly far beyond the headlines, a loyal friend, a loving daughter, and an ambitious young woman with many dreams. Kelly's high school teachers remembered her as a curious and diligent student, always asking thoughtful questions in class, and going above and beyond on assignments. Her track coach recalled her relentless determination, both in competition and in grueling training sessions. A college friend remembered how Kelly stood by her through a severe bout of depression, frequently stopping by with snacks and class notes she had missed. Colleagues at Lululemon described Kelly as professional and dedicated, someone who enthusiastically mentored new employees and always volunteered to swap shifts when needed. Customers remembered her as a bright, smiling sales associate who gave genuine, thoughtful advice. Her family remembered Kelly as a loving daughter and sister who never forgot birthdays, sent sweet messages, and often visited home despite her busy schedule. These stories not only deepened the sense of loss felt by Kelly's untimely death, but also served as a reminder that behind every headline about violence is a full person, a person who touched the lives of many others in meaningful ways. Looking back on the Kelly Dwyer case from the distance of several years, one cannot help but wonder about what didn't happen, the warning signs that went unnoticed, the missed opportunities to prevent tragedy. This isn't a matter of placing blame, but rather an effort to learn, to understand how we, as a society, can do better in protecting the vulnerable and preventing similar losses in the future. One of the most crucial pieces of the puzzle lies in the complexity of the relationship between Kelly and Zocco. That relationship, marked by a power imbalance, drug use, and high-risk sexual behavior, created an environment ripe for tragedy. Yet from the outside, these dangers might not have been obvious, even to those close to Kelly. Experts in intimate partner violence point out that many dangerous relationships do not follow the traditional abuse patterns the public is trained to recognize. Instead, they may be disguised as exciting or adventurous sexual relationships, where controlling and dangerous behaviors are normalized or even glamorized. In Kelly's case, her relationship with Zocco, which at first appeared centered around recreational drug use and unconventional sex, concealed far more toxic dynamics. For Kris Zocco, now serving his sentence, the story is also not over. Though he has never admitted guilt or publicly expressed remorse, one wonders whether time in prison will bring him any self-awareness or regret. Forensic psychologists note that even individuals with severe personality disorders can sometimes experience significant shifts in perspective over time, especially when confronted with the long-term consequences of their actions.